Oh, here we go. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome back,
Yeah.
everybody. It's the Lyrical Ones podcast. I'm pretty sure I'm off with my count, but it's cool because I'll get it right after the show. So this is episode 33 of the Lyrical Ones podcast. If it's not, I'll probably let y'all know somewhere in social media land. But I am joined with my co-host, my faithful, most consistent, persistent, supportive co-host, Affluent. How you doing this evening?
Excellent. The camera is mirrored, so this is my right hand. What's up? Um, it's a great day. So if y'all just listening, just to the audio, I put my hand up, had it backwards, had to move it and switch it around. It's a great day. It's Wednesday. A lot of wild stuff still happening in America. A lot of wild stuff still happening on planet Earth. Uh, you know, some folks is getting vaccines. Not everybody's getting the ones that should, and folks on the front line is missing out. For people in the background is getting the vaccinations, and um, at the same time, nerds is battling Wall Street, and that's wild too. I, I love it, and and in spite of everything, I know that the love of art transforms things. It takes the unseen and makes it seen. It's the unheard and makes it heard. It's the unfelt and looked over, felt deeply. Um, and so it's a really good day because we got a great visual artist with us. The homie Camer-1 is in the building. Um,
What up? What up?
Cam- Camer-1, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, I can't complain. Life is good. It's freaking cold in San Francisco right now, but I'm in a house with a heater, so I'm feeling good.
In a house with a heater. I love
Yeah.
the preface there.
Yes,
Nice.
house with
Sineo, how you doing today?
I am here. This is January 27th. It is 7:30 on the West Coast time. I'm rounding up for the first time. I don't really do that. But for the most part, I'm thankful as always, appreciative, gratitude. I'm with you on the whole seeing how the Geeks is taking over. They fighting, like this is amazing seeing people come together and using the antics of the internet to like produce good. Like, maybe there's some auxiliary things happening that might not be so savory, but I seen one of an actual hedge fund guy who is an investor. He was saying that he got in on it and was able to make like $500,000 and is going to donate it. Right. I seen
Wow.
another person be able to buy like 10 Nintendo Switches off of this from GameStops and then donate them to a children's hospital. So I'm so appreciative to witness rich people who thought they were untouchable for so long, like really understand how fragile the existence of life is, the
Mm.
sacredness of the financial institutions. Like I've been having all my various like mental perspective arguments that I have where people be like, you know, this the way life is, and that's just how it goes. And it's like, not today, not today. You witnessing
True.
life changing events. We talking about they made GameStop into like one of the top hugest like stocks that you could even like a company that's now is registering like in the billions or something. Like it's crazy seeing
Yeah.
this, right? We're in a
Yeah.
we're in that time period where people can come together and be activated to produce positive results, right? To change the narrative, right? I've heard people when able to get out of college debt. I think this is an amazing time that we're witnessing. And I'm hoping people are able to learn from it because as much as it's about the money, it's not so much about the money as it is about changing culture, right? The
Mm.
culture of stock has always been this thing where people have been left out on the on the outside, and now there's people able to do right, do what's been done to us in a sense where we've been locked out, and now you got people looking for bailouts and looking for all this support when there's people who need to eat tonight,
Hmm.
right? And some of those people who were hurting when they were going to college or hurting from those the college debt are now thriving because of the
Yeah.
community they created online, the support system, and seeing like this just the seesaw, right? Just
Hmm.
for once, it's starting to go in a different direction. So we out here, baby. We out here.
Yeah.
For sure. Cameron, have you been able to keep track of or hear about what's been going on with some of
I
the
have,
financial
yeah.
institutions?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting actually. Yeah. I just love how accessible everything is right now, because it's putting like power back into the people's hands, right? Like when we were younger, I didn't know anything about the stock market. I couldn't even, I still don't even fully understand it. But I think with like certain apps and like all the education that's coming out on TikTok videos talking about financial investment, all this stuff, it's
Right.
like putting things in young people's hands, or just like people's hands who didn't grow up knowing anything about that. And then all of a sudden it's giving people a fighting chance, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's dope.
Yeah. Right. Because like if it stops, after a day, most of us don't hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's a big story in the financial market, but other than that, like most of us don't hear about it. Right.
Yeah.
The regular the average person does not hear about what's going
Exactly.
on. Right. If it lasts 2 days. Right. But because it made so much noise that the White House had to, pay attention, that the platforms had to pay attention and say, well, are are you doing something that's legal or illegal? Does it compromise any freedom of speech? Does it, right? It's not. Is it promoting any kind of violence? Is it, hateful speech? They have to then go through with a comb and say, are you doing, anything that's harming people?
Yeah.
And it's funny how when it's the people doing something, right, then we have to check to see if everything is right. But when there's certain institutions that are doing stuff like this on a regular basis for decades, for centuries, right, then we kind of accept it again, like you said, having that conversation of that's just how things are. It's just the way it is. And right, the heaviest person on the seesaw is gonna stay at the bottom, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and not go for a ride. And meanwhile, the people have been going for a ride. And I think technology has let us, let people into the kitchen
Yeah.
and really kind of taking the refrigerator door off. And now they're like, "Why are you in my kitchen? What happened? I thought you was just making a sandwich. I thought you was just getting a little bit. I thought you was just getting a little bit, but the refrigerator's gone. The meat is in the crisper. Like the lemon juice is not where it's supposed to be. Like, why is this cheese still open? Like, what's going on?" And they're freaking out a little bit, and they say, "Well, let's make some calls and let's spook these regular people." But at the same time, we know, I think that's when 2020, like we really see. And as much as I don't want to talk about so much about last year, um, it's really a monumental year in a lot of ways. But we see that we are resilient as people, right? As a planet, we are resilient. And as much as we are trying to find some normality, some normalcy to things, we know that things have changed, and we'll see more of that change. And as a service provider in my career, I think I was able to see what support looks like,
Mm.
um, where I wasn't sure whether I was going to have to switch careers or not. um, and just like that, the tribe, who I didn't necessarily see or expect them to be my tribe or a part of my support system, though I was prioritizing their well-being, um, they in turn did the same for me, and checked on me and made sure I had an avenue through the other side of the pandemic, which we're still trying to get to. Uh, Cameron, how was that for you? Like managing as an artist, as a creative, what were some of the thoughts that came into your head initially, and like what were those feelings like, and then um, how did you end up here in January 2021?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, but yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it was super scary. It's we plan our year from December to March. That's like our planning time, booking all our
Right.
gigs. So I'm usually living off the finances from the previous summer to carry us into the new year. And we just hustle, hustle, hustle. And then we had all like our initial gigs lined up for March, and then COVID hits, and it just took rug out from under us, and it was super scary. But I think about a month later, all of a sudden people realized how important visual arts were, because at that point, no one could like be indoors in businesses and everything was getting boarded up. So all of a sudden this flood of work came about for visual artists. And, you know, we were able to put on a couple of mural festivals in different states and still do that because people could be outside. And I mean, you know, it's basically an outdoor art gallery for everyone to walk through and look at it. So yeah, man, I mean, there was a lot of sad things, you know, this past year, and a lot of sad things coming into this new year. But at the same time, I do feel there's been a silver lining. Like it's really caused people to realize the importance of family, realize the importance of community. And I mean like direct neighborhood community. And I think it's helped people realize the importance of creativity. You see a lot of people, you know, going back to those things that they loved as children, and then they lost that passion as they became adults. And, you know, usually starts somewhere in high school. I think people get pretty burnt out, you know, and that creativity just goes out the window. So it's been so cool to even see that, like just see all the people go online and they're sharing like their drawings, or they share that all of a sudden they have people didn't even know they could sing and now they're singing. And, you know, so you're seeing all this stuff happen. And I just think that's so valuable and important. And I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned through that this year.
Same.
You know? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. And I really like the fact that people are getting more community focused. Like, literally you know, I grew up in San Francisco feeling, you know, my dad always said it was feeling like friendly, but not neighborly. You know, like people are nice to you and you could live in the same neighborhood forever and people are friendly, but it's not like they're coming in and checking in on you. Or if, you know, things hit the fan, it's not like they're going to like bring you vegetables or something to eat, you know, like they're not dropping stuff off. Where now I feel like, at least in my neighborhood, I live in Viz Valley in San Francisco, the community is thriving, man. We've been putting murals up in our neighborhood. We've had neighbors drop off food to us and vice versa. You're just really seeing like a coming together, and I freaking love it. You know, I hope that doesn't change when things go back to whatever normal is, you know?
no, that's real. That's real. I mean, what I want to do is kind of rewind it just a bit, and kind of, for those that don't know, you know, could you give them some insight into what you do? Like what, because, you know,
Yeah.
talking about the visual arts, you're talking about putting on mural festivals. I mean, really break down what is it that you do on a day to day, or what is it that you know, drives you to just get out of bed in the morning?
Yeah. So I'm a full-time muralist. I would also say I'm you know, a curator, a mural festival organizer, basically. But yeah, just anything with visual arts when it comes to painting, that is where I thrive. And I really enjoy making a difference in communities. And that's part of the reason I put on the festivals. And another reason I do that is I'm able to basically hire my friends to all come to like a city, and we just kick it and paint it and eat good food and have a good time together. And I'm able to put some money in their pocket. And I think those are all of my favorite things, is just creating those moments in art where it's community driven and you're seeing people taken care of. So that's basically what I do. You know, I'm, as far as like what I'm doing on the day in and day out, I would say 75% of my job is not doing art, but it's actually like writing proposals, you know, pitching ideas, designing so that I could just get to the painting stage. There's so much more that goes into it. And then, you know, all the admin of organizing a festival with my wife and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say about 35%, 30% of my job is actually painting. Yeah.
That's big. That's big. Like I feel like young artists need to know that. Young creators need to know that it's not necessarily skipping the know-how in a business sense to be a full-time artist, like getting those oratorical skills and conversations, those writing skills, the finance skills, or like having, you know, someone in the family to share in that organization aspect of it. Like you said, the admin work is like a lot of times like people are focused on like the art, and they say, well, you know, what are the steps, right, to becoming a full-time artist? And then you say, well, full-time is actually just 30% of the time.
Yeah.
Right. And just getting to the point where we paint, I feel like, or you create, is, you know, it's kind of a long road to get there, or like a consistent grind in a sense, to create that freedom for you. And I really like that you kind of give us the game that, you know, being a creator just means like hiring friends. And I think we're in our culture, a lot of the tech culture, especially, you know, born and raised in San Francisco, like we saw, you know, tech come out of nothing, almost like sprout out of the ground here. And it's really hard for millennials to like form friendships from work. Right. And as a creator, you kind of find your friends as a creator, and then you then create like a, you know, a substance with it. You know, you're trying to find a way to, you know, move through life and navigate through life and provide for families and, you know, shelter through creating, instead of the other way around, you know, where you're trying to figure out what's close to your heart while, you know, grinding at a job.
Yeah.
And then you find, instead, you know, you found and attached to what was close to you, and then figured out the business side to support, you know, that creativeness. I think that's so inspiring. I think when I hear that, because I think it's not talked about enough, that there's a little bit of effort and work. And even like when you talk about musicians, they're not necessarily learning the business side, the admin side. They're hoping that they'll come across an agent or a manager, you know, that cares about them enough, or they have a friend who, you know, knows enough about the industry, who's read enough books to then handle, you know, their journey. And you know, just like how much the journey is, like learning how to navigate, you know, those different events and gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I actually have a question for you, because you mentioned something that was kind of crucial. You had mentioned that you draft proposals, right?
Yes.
What has that journey been like for you? Was that a journey where it was like you just got thrown into it because you realized there was a need? Was it like, okay, let me go get some training and some schooling? Like, what was that process like? Because I think that, everything that Affluent said is true, in the sense that we have the want to do the thing, like that thing, and then sometimes we discount ourselves in doing all the other things that go with that. So what was that particular thing like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, well, like anybody that wants to do art for fun and like stuff like that, and I mean, it's fun to me. I'm not knocking that at all. I think what I do specifically is like trying to figure out how I can do art as a career. And there's like career artists, and then there's artists who want to have fun with it, and that's all good either way. But for me, yeah, specifically, I really, really wanted to be a full-time artist. And I was doing a lot of community work. I used to run a rec center in San Francisco down on 6th Street. Used to live down there for just forever. And it was, I was doing that. And then to support myself, I was painting murals on the weekends. And because there just wasn't enough money to survive with the community work. And I learned to paint really fast because of that. Like, it was time sensitive. I had to get it done. And then as time went on, you know, I think I did community work for like 17, 18 years or something like that. And then, as you know, Sixth Street is tough. You know, it's a
Yeah.
tough place, and our boys were getting older, and we had some pretty traumatic events that happened with the students in our rec center. I mean, we had, I believe, at one point, like there was 13 or 14 different youth shot over a course of 3 years. So all this stuff started like just like killing me, dude. Like it was literally like getting PTSD because some of the shootings were right at our doorstep, you know. And so I just was like hoping and praying, like, God, I just like I need something. I need to step away. And I kept feeling more pulled to the arts, you know, and just being there for artists, but then also pursuing my own art career. And I just slowly kind of like went into it. You know, I didn't have business training. I haven't even gone to art school, you know, so it was more about like, I just had a desire to pursue the arts and just be in that all the time. And I just learned, because I was doing it for work on the weekend, that I also need to figure out how to do it as a business. You know, I can't just think that I'm just going to go paint for fun, because one spray paint can is $6.57 and you need 20 to 40 of those to paint a mural, you know? So it's not like it's not a cheap hobby, you know? So I think it was all of that, wanting to provide for my family, needing to pour into myself for a little bit because of some of the trauma that we had dealt with. And then really wanting to be there for young artists and help them figure out to have a career. It was all of those things that really pushed me into it. And then I just started, I'm not really good at school stuff, but I'm pretty good with like numbers and just logical numbers and like putting together a plan and then sticking to that and things like that. And I think that came with my experience running a rec center and overseeing a staff, putting together summer camps for 200 to 300 students, and all of that stuff really prepared me to jump into my career of doing art. So yeah, sorry, that was a long-winded answer to that, but
it's essential. It's
yeah,
essential. Like much props, appreciation, and honors to you, because
thank
I
you.
understand, being a person from San Francisco as well, working in the community. You're right. Like you're hitting it on the head. Like people don't give like trophies and awards for the work that you do. So, you know, you're going to receive that tonight, because it's one of those things that it
Yeah.
goes unappreciated, you know, like someone, I don't know if you've heard this, but people be like, aren't you so good? Aren't you so happy with the work that you do? You know, because it's not like we get paid a whole lot, right? It's like, and that's like the most backhanded compliment you could ever give someone, is that, yeah, because you don't get paid well, right? You find satisfaction in being able to help others. And it's like, you're gonna find that regardless if you're paid or not, but don't add on a dollar value to it, right? Because then
Yeah,
it just minimizes
absolutely.
the scope of what I'm trying to accomplish. On top of
Mhm.
the fact that working in the community, we take on what we're, you know, where we're at, right? You don't necessarily have to live in it to be alive in it, right? Like you're
Yeah,
impacted by every young person or every individual and their story, their journey, what they're going through, their traumas, and you're taking that on. You're trying to provide a space that's
Mm.
safe. You're trying to provide a space that's, you know, going to give them a different perspective or give them something else that they haven't had an opportunity to explore. And, you know, to then make that tougher decision to be like, all right, you know what, I need to focus on what really is calling to me to heal me. Because that's the thing, is that, you know, you can go so far, right? It becomes that almost like Dark Knight syndrome, where it's like you either, you know, die a hero or live long enough to be the villain. And, you know, it is a, you know, it's not to say that it's all doom and gloom, but the further you go up, the further you're removed from the work you were doing, right? They pull you
Absolutely.
to kind of go on a macro scale rather than that individual relationship building. And, you know, from speaking for myself, I resonate with everything you say, because you're right, right? Like you're bringing up transferable skills, right? You were in this area, saw kind of how it operates, what's the need, what's the want, and then you're like, but I got something for myself I want to do. How does that translate, right? How do I use those things that I've developed and then translate this to something new or something that's an extension of myself to then expand that. And I think that's incredible for not only me to hear, but for those that are listening, right? Like, being an artist, like, for me, when I hear you say that, where it's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing art for fun, but when you're trying to do it for a career, you have to be ready for the undertaking of responsibility and the hardship that comes with that, somewhat technical aspect of paperwork, right? Having to meet these deliverables in a new capacity. Like, it's a different game of negotiation because, you're your own boss. You decide your hours, your time. And so, even more, what does your schedule look like, right? When things are thriving and popping, like, what does your time look like in terms of what your a day, right? Is it 8 hours? Is it 12 hours? What does a day look like for you? On top of when you're in the zone, what does a week look like for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, goodness, every day, every week for me is totally different. And I mean, literally a different setting. I think that's what I really enjoy about my job, is that it's completely different every time. And someone, I'm pretty sure, I have attention issues and things like that, so that's what I love the most, is every week is different. And so, I mean, one week, like like all of January, every day for 6 to 8 hours, my wife and myself were writing. Like, that's it. We're researching grants. We're proposing ideas. I mean, that was 6 to 8 hours a day for an entire month. And then at different points in the year, my week could be like during a festival. It could be me and my wife and my kids were flying out early to get set up, and then we're picking people up from the airport, bringing them to where they're staying, dividing paint for all these artists, writing the contracts for those artists, having to meet with building owners to make sure they're okay with what the artist is painting, navigating those relationships between artists and building owner. I mean, that's definitely the craziest time for me, is festival world. But then when it comes to my own art, yeah, I mean, today I knew I had a small window because of the rain. So I woke up and went down and painted for 3 hours till it started raining, and then came home and knew I had time. So then I adjusted and went and did office work and did some more designing and booked gigs. So, I mean, it's always changing. And I mean, I've literally, my office changes from week to week too. I've worked in Australia and New Zealand and all throughout Europe, and did work in China and throughout Central America. Just been all over, man. Like, God has just hooked it up with art. I'm so grateful.
No, that's a beautiful thing. That's beautiful to know, because the extension is, for those that are listening, you could do it too, right? Like,
Yeah.
we all get locked into a situation, and you don't know where things will take you if you take that risk, if you take that chance, right? Like, what was that day like? I got so many things popping off right now, but what was that day like when you knew, all right, I'm out, right? Like, when was that day, right? Like, when
Oh, man.
like, this is what happened, and this is the call to action. I gotta go.
Yeah. I mean, there was quite a few things that happened. Some of it was just like family stuff. I knew things had to change. The work I was doing, there was some just like I said, difficult things, and then also difficult relationships. Sometimes you work with people that it's just really hard to work with, and stuff like that. And then I knew I wanted to be a full-time artist, but I was so scared. And that's when like I mentioned before, I calculated the money, and I was off that weekend work, and I was like, man, I can't make any less money if I jumped into this full time. So it was the same week I got an email, and I thought it was for a gig, like a paint gig, and it was kind of confusing wording. Turns out they returned my email, and it was like for a reality show that was going to be on street art. And I was like, man, a reality show? Should I do this? And so I was like, all right, you know, I'm going to send an email, see what happens. So they hit me back. They were like, hey, we want you to do a tryout video. And I was like, I don't got time for this. I'm not going to do this. This is ridiculous. And I just let it go. And then they just kept hounding me, and they were like, let's do a Skype interview and we'll record that. Interviewed with them. Anyway, so at the same time, the work I was with, we had a team building thing in LA, and it just so happened that the same week was going to be tryouts for this show. And so I snuck away and I tried out for this show, ended up getting on the show, and was like, man, I just want to make it to episode 3 to help me get some notoriety so that I could do art full time. Episode 4 came, 5, 6, 7, finale, and then I ended up winning the show. So
Nice.
yeah, so that was like a huge, more than anything, it really encouraged me. Like, it was like, okay, you thought you weren't even going to do well on this, and then you ended up winning. And I just felt like, man, I could do this, you know? And yeah, so that was the biggest thing. The second biggest thing was it gave me a cushion. You know, I needed to live off that cushion. I needed to get a business license. I needed to get a truck, like all these tools that I needed. So I was able to use the winning from the show to help me start all that and just go for it.
Synchronicity.
Yep. Perfect timing, man. Perfect timing.
How long was the desire to want to do it? Like, you know, how many years we talking? Like, how far back can you call and remember, like, what age were you at? Where were you at? Right? Like, what part of the city were you at with that? Like, that you were like, man,
I want to be a full-time artist.
Like, I want to do art, right? Not even full time. Like, this is what I want to do. When was that moment, right? How old were you?
Second grade. My mom took all my work that I had created, and she framed it, and she put on my first art show at a coffee shop. And then, like, I sold some pieces, and yeah, it's crazy, man. So yeah, I mean, my parents were always supportive. So, and my dad was a musician when in my younger years. So I saw him, you know, make it as an artist for a while and stuff like that. So I think all of those things really pushed me as well. But yeah, second grade, that was definitely the first where I was like, dang, I could do this. And then 92 is more when I started getting into graffiti art. So it shifted from like painting objects or drawing objects to strictly letter form. So, but that was like the best thing for me because it taught me how to use a spray can. You know, it really pushed me into a field involving the best tool, the fastest tool to use for murals. And then, so I did graffiti till probably 2002. And then I kind of simultaneously did graffiti and murals for a long time. And now I don't really, I wouldn't call what I do graffiti anymore out of respect for the culture. I wouldn't call it that, but,
Nice.
Yeah. So
how did you get into graffiti? How did you get introduced to that?
I mean, you ain't got to bust nobody out or yourself too much.
No, it's all good. Yeah, my brother,
yeah.
My brother got me into graffiti. So yeah, he showed me a graffiti magazine and he was drawing bubble letters. And before that, we were more into like b-boying and MCing and stuff. And that was like what we really loved about the culture. And then there was some magazine, I can't remember the name. It came out based out of LA and had all these crazy wild styles and stuff like that. So my brother showed me that and I was hooked, man. I was just, never looked back. Spray paint became, the love for me for just out of all the elements of hip hop, that was the one that grabbed me.
No, definitely. Shout out to them late nights. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People be grinding out there doing their thing. We, you know, even if we don't see you when the sun rises, we see you. So
we see you.
We see you know what I'm saying? The artists out there doing their thing.
That's what's up.
What part of the city did you grow up in? Right, when you talk about, because the thing that I'm reminded of is that every part of the city has a microculture, right? And I think that knowing kind of the time period and where you were at is another element, because you know you spoke to, you know, you say a lot around community, right? And the family is a community, your friends are a community, and the people that you serve are a community. Those are all the different circles that revolve around you. and hearing that you had that support at such a young age, paint the picture on what neighborhood you were living in, second grade, Camer-1, like what is that look like? And then what was the time period like for you to be in that?
Yeah, so I actually so I lived in the Mission, but I moved into the Mission when I was 13. So that was definitely the where graffiti just like, I mean, it was thriving, So I lived on was Army Street when I lived there, but Cesar Chavez.
Hey.
Yeah, so I was at Cesar Chavez and Guerrero, and when I moved into that neighborhood, it was considered the Mission, and now I think it would be considered Noe Valley, right where I was at. Real estate likes to keep pushing it down the hill. But yeah, so just growing up, or living my younger years in the Mission, walking the alleyways, just seeing ICP crew and just all these dudes that just blew my mind, So I think that was like the biggest influence as far as graffiti went for me. That it took me from like doing it on paper and then just like little tags here and there to like really looking at the art form of letter structure and graffiti and really wanting to grow in that. But then I would kick it in Excelsior a lot too. Even though I lived in the Mission, most of my friends were Excelsior. So that was more of like the tag banging side of things. Like there wasn't a lot of, I mean, there was graffiti art, but it was more about the tagging and the bombing. And then the Mission was more where I got the art form, the culture of the art form. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, no, shout out to those different variety touch points of culture, because there's a technique with every element that comes with it. And I'm sure that translates in how you operate, right? Like when you're bombing and you're tagging, you got to be quick, you got to be fast, you got to be swift. And then to hear like, well, I learned how to paint faster, you know what I'm saying, is, to me, I hear that because it's an extension of understanding the necessary element of time, right? Like,
yes,
when you are an entrepreneur and you're a business person, right? You even said it was like, I knew I had 3 hours and then I had to transition, right? Your time management skills on a different level, because when you're bombing and when you're tagging on that level,
yeah,
you got to negotiate with, if I don't time this correctly, I could get wrapped up and I will lose time, right? And that's a big element. People, right? They try to minimize it, at least in my eyes, right? Because I grew up around that area and I understand, because I know people and I appreciate what their contributions are, right? And even more so, I appreciate the work that they had to put in, because regardless of what society says, this is where your heart was at a time where, they might have looked at you as a criminal, or they might have looked at you as doing something foul or wrong or destructive, when in reality, this is you finding yourself in the mix of what the city has to offer. And those skills are so essential, because it's like, you talk about grinding, like, I hear it. Like, you could say it in the most indirect, nondescript way, but I can tell there's a hustler spirit to how you move
that's
because
the
of your
bay,
understanding.
man.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people
Yeah,
want to be creative, and that's great, but you have to, if you really want to do it, you can't discredit the amount of hustle that you have to have, right? Because I think that's something that people often try to disassociate. Like, when we take it to the Renaissance era and we think about what it means to have an artist guild, right? Like you would have your apprentice work in your workshop and they'd have to grind and hustle, right? And I think that now here you are talking about trying to extend opportunities to those coming up, but also having that experience working in the community. You understand what people are dealing with, because you're seeing, like, especially at the time before, like when the Mission was the Mission versus when the Mission got chopped up and labeled all these different names, the difference, right? Like when Army Street was Army Street, it's a different territory, different existence, right? And that's not to denounce and dismiss what's going on now, but it is to say that when you know that history, that legacy, it informs a lot of your decisions in a different capacity. So,
absolutely.
props to you for having those experiences. But I want to know, how important is the hustle to you now? As you're married, you're a father, you have responsibilities, and you're negotiating with time in a different capacity. What's hustle look like, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, hustle is it's to me, it's more important than talent. Like I know that that might be blasphemous to some people,
Nope,
but
no.
I mean, I have
Let them
friends who,
let them come on and protest. Then let them come on and
yeah.
protest if
Oh man,
they believe that.
I endorse
I
this
have friends
message.
who can paint me out of the water, and they can barely get any gigs, you know. And I was never a naturally good born artist either. Like you look at my old drawings, they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. But I was so passionate about the culture and so addicted to getting it right and accomplishing it and just working and working and working that you know, I was able to do it and make it happen. But I mean, the hustle is that is the most important thing in every aspect of what you're doing. The business side of it, you know, how well of an artist you're going to be determines on how many hours you're going to put into it, you know. But then at the same time, the businessman that you're going to be, or woman, it's like, how many hours are you going to put into that? You can't just like think it's going to happen. And then I also believe that is important for like, I hear all the time, like OGs, like it's not just young people. OGs are like, they had this time of fame, or like things just came to them, and now all of a sudden, like, oh, people just owe me respect and it should come to them. It really shouldn't. So like, you're never going to stop paying your dues, you know, like it's just part of it. And nowadays it's not, it doesn't matter about what you did back in the day. It's like, what are you doing now, especially to young people? So I would say the hustle for me is, if is probably more important now than it was for me growing up, you know, because now I have to stay relevant. I have to, you know, continually study design and fashion, and you know, what is the color of the year for next year, and like all these things to make sure that my art is up to par, you know. So yeah, hustling for the youngsters. Don't cut corners. Learn, like, if you want to be a visual artist, learn how to draw. Don't use a projector as a crutch, you know, use it as a tool. Pay your dues, and then study business, like do what you can. And then for the adults, you know, like stop thinking you're owed the world too, you know. Just keep grinding. But
I
yeah.
totally appreciate your words. Thank you for saying that, because I know people, you know, they look to you as a source of inspiration, right? Whether it's your art, whether it's your words, whether it's your presence. And, you know, I believe in that, right? Like I totally, I follow that doctrine, right? Because me myself, speaking from the artistic perspective, you know, people always say, "Oh, I wish I had a hidden talent," or "I wish I had a talent like yours." And I'm like, you could do it. You just got to
Yeah.
commit yourself to the time and the grind of working on your craft, right? Like 10,000 hours of mastery is no joke, right?
Mhm.
Like you wouldn't have the Beatles without them doing cover songs over and over and over again, right? And that extends to just how the world operates in a bigger fashion, right? Because, you know, you're saying people were accustomed to having things come to them, and then they think that that should just be the way. And it's like, that's not how the world works, right? Once the day is over, the day is gone, right? That time ain't coming back, right? So if you're living off of the essence of what you once had without working to remanifest it, because that's another thing. We can manifest dreams, but eras change, times change, technologies change, tempers change,
Yeah.
and people aren't going to be so willing to go based off of what you did in x number of year, right? 1990, 2000, whatever, it doesn't matter. Time moves on, people leave you in the past, right? Like I say that because I had a situation where I was like, you know, I work in a community and I was trying to put some kids onto some music, and like, you know, it was adults too, where they're like, I'm playing A. Marie. Nobody know who A. Marie is. She's an R&B singer, came out in the early 2000s, has an incredible album called All I Have. I know this is tangent, but this tangent relates because I was like, this is one of the greatest songs ever. And I play Why Don't We Fall in Love? And then every, like, we talking about 23, 24 and down. I don't know what that is. And I'm like, I have a
Why can't we
responsibility
fall
to
in
you.
love?
I have a responsibility to y'all to show you and to teach you and inform and empower, because this is a segment of time that can be lost, right? Now, that's not to say or shade Marie, but it is to say for me, I'm reminded that once time is gone, right, that time is no longer here, right? For what
For
was
sure.
classic to me, that could be lost in obscurity, right? And so for me, it's like I'm only as relevant as much as I choose to accept today. Like I got to accept what it is. What's the rules of the game today? Just because it was like that, we didn't have helmets when we played football. Well, guess what? We do now, right? And it's a different game today. And so I think that, you know, when you start to try to minimize innovation, like, you know, you can extend it to sports. People hated on Steph because he was changing the game in terms of how he played it, right? And it's like now you see what's needed to in order to operate and to be functional in the league. That extends itself to hustling. That extends itself to your art form. That extends itself to adaptation, right? Like learning how to evolve and adapt is key. And I think that, yeah, like a lot of times it's easy for people to just be like, man, whatever. Like when it was my time, like, you know, I was a different beast. It's like, yeah, that's great. And it's all honor to you. But you know, what I'm doing now, this is what I got to do. So I'm going to get it done. Right. And not everybody's willing to take that on. And so, you know, how has your community changed, right? Like there's a community you're born with, but then what is it now being grown, right? Like what are those boundaries that you have to create, or what are those spaces you have to take to make sure you're further taking care of yourself, right? Because you saw the need when you were working in the community to then be like, I need to pour back into me. How do you do that now? What do you do, and how does that look compared to like when you first started working for the community?
That's a good question. Yeah, man. Well, definitely. I mean, I've noticed. I mean, your community gets smaller. Yeah, the further on in your career you go. I mean, you see it in music too, right? You hear about MCs talk about it, how like their friends are upset or whatever because they got to a certain level or something. Not that I'm at
I ain't at no level, but I got to deal with it now.
But it's like, yeah, your really close people group just really gets small. Like friends and family, just gets small. So, and I don't know why. I guess it's like, yeah, I mean, you learn who you could trust over the years and stuff like that. And then the more you hustle, the more people envy your hustle. So it's like you just,
unless they're hustling too.
Yeah, it's like people get jealous really easy, you know? So yeah, just things happen. So yeah, I would say that's definitely the biggest way my community change is size. But then yeah, you have to surround yourself with people who are gonna give you really honest, good advice, you know, not just tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And and people who want to see you succeed. You know, there's a lot of jealous people out there, you know, and you could know in your heart that you're giving so much, like you're giving the best of yourself to everybody, and it's still not enough for everybody. Like people still get upset at you or whatever, you know. So I think that really determines your small, like your really close knit people group. And then as far as how I refuel now, that's a good question. I mean, I think I love to go on trips, man. So luckily my job helps me do that. Traveling is something that really just like gives me peace, like learning about different cultures and different people groups and breaking bread with them. And then just honestly, like chilling at my house, like summers. I love when it's warm outside. You know, Visitation Valley in San Francisco, we actually have backyards. So like we love just kicking it and barbecuing. And we've kind of set up our whole outdoor space for neighbors and to have family over and friends and stuff like that. So that's how I refuel is family and friends.
That's beautiful. Shout out to that area. I grew up around the corner from Philip Burton High School, and you know, backyards are a thing out there. You know what I'm saying? Going through John McLaren Park, riding the bike, running through Pelega. You know, when it's time to go to the gym, everybody playing basketball. I'm hollering at all the girls. Girls watching the game.
Portola.
Hey, okay, look, hold on. Portola, yes, it's Portola Park, but for those that don't know,
that's pretty close.
Old. You know, they got the name change. Now, yeah, you see what I'm saying? So you know, it's just I went to Visitation Valley Middle School. We had wrestling matches at Little Viz.
Oh,
Like,
dope.
it goes deep in terms of my appreciation and love for that whole other end of
Shout
the
out Big
city.
Viz and Little Viz.
Is Lil Viz. If you
Yeah.
know, you know. If you don't know, we are on episode 34. I'm corrected, of the Lyrical Ones podcast. Right, we're coming from San Francisco, California, and the area of the city that we're talking about is kind of the southern east end, right? And people understand, like, the Bayview is a part of that, right? Third Street is a part of that, right? We got the Candlestick Park area that's a part of that, and we have Visitation Valley that kind of hooks around to the L, right? And so people aren't aware of this great land that exists within San Francisco and the people that help the city survive and stay true to itself. Because, as you can see, the impact on this screen right now speaks tenfold. And as you know today, right? GameStop done took over. Well, we're just in our own humble ways taking over in our own approaches. So be reminded that San Francisco is multifaceted and beautiful in so many respects. But that southern east end of the city, I'm just saying, is some special sauce, right? The way that the sun, like, it just seems to be like there's fog, and then that San Bruno Mountain just be like, pop off.
Yeah.
San Bruno Mountain be like, get out the way, and then boom, sunshine. So
It's so
what I'm
good.
saying? Beautiful place.
Yeah.
But I just you touched on so many different things, and I think that something that I want to reference is the fact that of understanding, sometimes we don't articulate it so clearly, or we're not even cognizant of it, but it's like that sense of healing, right? Like, when you're around people and we're all coming up, we're not really aware of how toxic life is, because we've kind of accepted, just like, I'm born with these people, I'm living in this place, I don't have control. And then as soon as you start having the ability to change things, like, oh, I could buy my own ice cream. I always say that once I could buy my own ice cream, is a wrap, right? Like, parents can't negotiate with me no more. Like, I'll get you some ice cream if you da 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 da. I get my own ice cream now, so I got to do the da 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 and make that happen. And then when you're friends, right? We're all coming from different backgrounds. We're all coming from different life experiences and situations, and not everybody's willing to learn the lessons you had to learn. And that's when I feel like it's like a big shift in ideologies, philosophies, and practices, where it's like, yeah, we maybe didn't go to college together, right? But us living our lives, we experience things differently. And now I'm realizing, maybe you still stuck in the toxicity. Maybe you don't want to leave the toxicity behind. Maybe the toxicness is impacting us and there's harm being created. And in order for me to not indulge in harm, I gotta go this way, right? And I gotta do that because I'm stepping up in different ways in my life, right? And I think that it's a noble thing that we don't often talk about, because for those that don't know, those are listening around the world in different parts of the country, San Francisco can have a crab in the bucket syndrome, right? It's not regulated to any one class, it's not regulated to any one group, there's no criteria, but there's something
The whole
about
Bay Area.
like the Bay, especially, like, once people see something grow, they want to start nipping at it. They want to start trying to cut away at it. And it's a thing where it becomes this, like, unfortunate survival tactic, right? Like, I can't let you shine brighter than me, because then I can't get what I want. When in reality, there's enough for everyone if you're willing to put forth the effort. And I think that's something that you highlighted, was like, look, I'm willing to put this time in the grind because I know that it just doesn't come to me, right? And in the world we live in, as you see, when they shut it all down, you got to go and get yours, because if you don't, right, I think that to me magnified, I'm wearing a mask with gold teeth talking about, like, life, okay? And the reason why I endorse anonymity, but that was my thing to learn in this time period, accept, embrace, and move forward with, right? Everybody got their thing. And I think, more importantly, what are the key takeaways for you during this new era, this new transitional time that we're living in? Like, what are the things that have been maybe a reminder or a discovery where you're like, psh, this is what I got to do, or this is what I need to do?
Yeah. Well, definitely one of them. I mean, you brought it up. The word toxicity has been like a huge word in our household, and like just trying to help all of us understand that, like, there's energy in the way we talk to each other, right? Like there's literally like vibes are a real thing, like they're vibrations, right? Like, and so something that we're trying to practice is like, how are we conveying something, you know, and how are we changing the world? We're all changing the world, but like, how are we going to change it? Is going to be good or for bad, you know? And I think the way we converse, and I think the things we post, like everything we do has the potential to be toxic. And literally, it like physically hurts people. I don't know if you've ever like, you know, somebody said something and your body like changes, right? Like it does something physical to you, and
Right.
that there's no freedom in that at all. And so I think for me, everything I do, you'll see in my paintings, I write "Be the change" a lot. And I know it's not my quote, I mean Gandhi said it, but I try to think about that for every decision I make, is how am I going to be the change? Like, how am I going to make the world better? So with everything I type or everything I don't type, to some people it might not seem calculated, but it's everything I do is thought about in hopes that it would bring the best change possible. So if anything, this year I've been leaning into that even more, even in conversation where I have every right to be upset or say something. But at that moment, I always ask myself, and what I'm about to say, is it going to actually make an impact? Sometimes, yeah, it's going to make the best impact. Like people need to be loud, but also sometimes I need to be quiet, right? So I'm always like navigating what is going to bring the most change possible. If you know, and that's, yeah, I just been working hard on that this year, is how could I change a toxic environment with my very being, with my art, with my words, with the way I present something, right? And sometimes, yeah, saying it in anger actually might create the best change. But
Right.
yeah, I just want to be more calculated with that.
I totally feel that. I totally agree. It is a thing that you know, on this podcast we try to make sure we address, communicate, and have people understand, because it's you know, we can't say that's the way the world is. We got to make it what we want it to be. And you know, I think it's best when you don't allow the world to change you, but you force the world to change around you, because it's necessary. Like we've come accustomed to a world where it's meant to control a lot of what we do instead of taking control over what it is. And I think that toxicity especially is just not a common conversation topic for people, right? The vibrations, right? People think, oh, you're getting a hippy dippy. It's like, no, like your heart beats, and that
Yeah.
creates vibrations that go throughout your body, right? The noise I make is literally the vibrations traveling through the air going into this device. Like vibrations are all around you. When you break it down on the most microscopic atomic level, right? Everything is moving, right? And that's what you know, whether you see it in school or not. And going to what you said about be the change, right? Like me talking about A. Marie, kids, adults, they don't know, right? If their access point is you, because Gandhi, as much as Gandhi's done, there's people who just don't know Gandhi and what Gandhi stood for, but that has transferred into you in this era where now you have a captive audience, right?
Mhm.
You design something, create something, and manifest it, and people are captivated to be like, "This is amazing, this is dope," and they go and they read that caption, and it's like, "Be the change," and it's like, wait, he's consistently giving me this message.
Yeah.
I gotta maybe accept this or figure out what does it mean to me, because I think that it's so important that nothing is new, right? Like painting is not a new thing, right? That's one of the oldest art forms we have that we can keep track of, right? Back to the cave drawings, right? And I think that the words I'm using are not new. I'm using an adopted language from another land. This is English of England, and even what it sounds like now is an evolution of what it once was. So it's not even to get lost on who's entitled to the rights, even though it's important. It's always important. Get your intellectual rights. But more important is, what are you taking away with what it is you're receiving? And I think that is amazing that you're coming with that level of intentionality and that purpose, right? Because I think that people oftentimes they get so wrapped up in the material goals that they don't realize that, like, if you shoot for the stars, you could end up on the clouds. But if all you want is the clouds, you might never make it. And I think that's kind of the bigger thing, is going for that larger impossible thing, right? Like I wish I could quote the Angela Davis quote perfectly, but it was along the lines of, you know, always trying to do something that's impossible, right? Like that's the way you got to be if you're going to try and change the world. You can't just
absolutely.
I'm just going to cook dinner. No, I'm going to feed the world, right? It's a different mindset when you think in that way. When you put it on a much larger scale, the impact becomes so much more grand. And I think that, you know, with what you're doing and the command that you have with your art and how it impacts people, you being able to travel, that speaks for itself, and the ability to say, how can I have the most change or bring about the most positive change, healthy change, sustainable change to people around me through what I do? And I think that's the beautiful thing, right? Like the honor of you serving the community isn't lost when you stop getting paid by XYZ, right? Just because the organization and the initials change. Hey, if you got to be the one to put the name on your back and own that, so be it. That's what we got to do. Yeah. And I think in this era, like, man, it's crazy toxic. It's crazy in terms of how people can just get lost in the sauce. And so, you know, honor to you. I appreciate the fact that you said all that, but you know, what are kind of now the things away from art that kind of revolve around your life? Like, you know, being married, having children, like what does that mean to you now?
Oh, dude, I love being married. I love being a dad. Yeah, it's amazing. This year's going to be 20 years of marriage. So I'm freaking pumped, man. Yeah, we've been together since we were, I think, 15, and I've known her since I was 13. So yeah, married life is amazing. Love, she works with me, and I love that. So that's been really fun. She started working with me like a year and a half ago or something like that. And it's been amazing. Like, you know, just being, it's there, no one knows you more than your spouse, right? So it's like she's able to figure out what I'm trying to convey to the client a lot easier than, you know, other assistants I've had and stuff like that. So it's been pretty incredible. And yeah, being a dad is incredible. I have a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old, and yeah, they're just good men, you know. So that's good. And I got 2 dogs. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, all I do is like, I either like paint and work or hang out with my family and, you know, a small group of friends. That's about it. I love my local coffee shop and hiking up the hill with the family and bike riding. That's about it, man. Simple.
What could you ask for? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Enjoying life. What I like to do right now, we actually have had some comments. If we could get some of the comments to pop back up, take it back to that Larry Venezuela one time, so we could, you know. So we got Larry from YouTube, Larry Venezuela, saying, you know, with the fire emoji, thank you, much honor. We're trying to keep the heat. We got Lyrical Assembly talking about Noe Valley with the exclamation mark. Okay, count it out. Hey, represent. We got Christine Erickson, go Cameron.
Christine, what's up?
Cameron miss you in the fam from Facebook. So, you know, people are watching, people are listening, you know, we want to highlight y'all as much as we're highlighting him. You know, it's a shared experience. It's a community experience. Lyrical Ones is a community. You watching, you're a Lyrical One, right? We're all just trying to communicate and convey the messages that we got within us. And just to, you know, do some housekeeping for those that want to stay connected, you can text us at 1415-903-7699. I repeat, 415-903-7699 to get connected to our Discord community, Lyrical Ones Discord. And, you know, is there any other ways that people could get in contact with you or find ways to support you and what you're doing and what you're bringing to the table?
Yeah, I mean, all the social media platforms are Camer-1 SF, Camer-1 SF. And on my Instagram right now, I am working with the school Rise Prep in the Bayview, so Rise University Prep. And I know Lyrical Ops does, you know, spoken word classes with them as well. I think you guys are fundraising possibly, and I'm fundraising also. And that that link is in my Instagram. And yeah, but that's about it. Social media, easiest way to get a hold of me.
Okay, and we actually have a question from an insider of the Lyrical Ones family. It was directly from them. They watching right now, and they wanted to know: have you been to the Life is Beautiful Music Arts Fest in Vegas? They wanted to know if you
I
go there, if when times change, can they peep you there if that's the case?
I haven't gone to that one yet. No. Yeah, I would love to get to that one, but
Okay.
not yet.
See, let's see what happens. I'm gonna put they watching, so
Yeah,
you know what you can do sitting there right now, right? Advocate, right? Community experience. You know what's
yeah,
up. You did
get
the
at
jam,
me.
so Vegas out here.
Intentionality.
Intentionality, man. That's all it takes. Affluent, you got anything you wanna, you know?
Man, Camer-1, I always just appreciate you for being inspiring. I think you using a quote, be the change. I think it takes on new meaning when you add it to the art, because it's almost like redefining what change means, or at least defining for yourself, right? For any of us, right?
Absolutely.
We have to choose what that change is, and like that's really like the value of our lives is right is our interaction with each other. It's like that's what enriches our lives is our interaction, and the way we experience life, our scope, our lens, and sharing that with the world. And you do that with your art. And so like your be change is almost like be the wealth, right? Be the change, the money, right? Be what's valuable in the world, and that's being in community. And I feel like you live that out, and you use those powers for good. Just speaking on intentionality. I think that's something that's so important in our community, in our world now, is having a choice and saying I want to show up this way, and I'm gonna really put in the work and the effort and the energy to process and decide what that means to me, and in my home, right, in my career and community, and at the coffee shop, you know creating a space where you can welcome people into your backyard, and how you communicate with your young ones. Like that's definitely important. It's a great lesson for young males growing up, is to decide and choose how they want to show up in the world, and then deciding as often as possible that they can be the value, be the change in what they see. There's an opportunity for growth in any situation.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you. I salute you. We honor you. Thank you for being here. Long time coming. Like I think kind of setting a great standard for artists as we move into this new year. Like what can we do? What does it look like for us to be the change, be the impact, and then create what we don't see in the world. It's like we can look at everything that's happening in the world and then write something new, sing something new, paint something new. And as much as we do that in art, we can do that in life and create in community something new. Um, and so like your visual art, I just want to know, like, how do you think it impacts communities when they ask you to show up, or you have the opportunity to introduce and put and plan a mural into a community? What are some of the feedback you get, or the impact you feel it makes, and how does it remind you of the themes I think that you've seen growing up as you come up in the art scene, in San Francisco and in the Mission and Excelsior? Like what type of feedback do you get?
Yeah, that's the best part, man. I think something I've realized over the years is that I don't paint for myself. Like all my paintings are for everybody else that's going to see it after me. And while, yes, I get, you know, satisfaction out of painting and all this kind of stuff, is like, I've realized the importance that I am creating for the people that live in that community, and it's not for myself. So because a lot of these towns, we come paint and then we leave, right? So how are we going to leave that community better than when we just came in, you know, for a couple weeks or whatever? Some of the feedback I've got, one of the best ones was I painted a mural that said "Be the Change" in a town that was literally dying. Like, there was nobody there anymore. Everybody was leaving, and there was no activity. Like, everyone was kind of giving up on this town. And I painted this "Be the Change" mural right in front of this broken up dirt and concrete lot that, you know, people would just dump trash. It took them 2 years, but because of that mural, a couple things happened. One was the front of the building fell over in a snowstorm, and normally where in this place they would tear down that building. The mural saved the entire building. They rebuilt the whole building because the mural was like one of the only sections standing. And then two, it took them 2 years, but they fundraised for 2 years, a small community, and they built an entire park in front of the painting. So now right downtown, where it was just a dilapidated parking lot, now it's you know, they have a stage, and they have like places to eat and all kinds of stuff. So it's a gathering place now. So I think that's been the most visual thing that I've seen. But then just like so many stories of what it's done for small businesses and families and things like that. Just numerous stories.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
The power of art. I think that's amazing to know that, like, you doing that, it's like you're it's a call to action, right? Like, people see it, they walk by, they drive by, and you just be the change. And someone is gonna feel challenged, right? Like, I am gonna be the change. Well, you know what? Why not? Why am I not being the change? You know what? I'm a change. And you see, through the ability to translate something that, like, is, you know, art, it's healing, right? To see something that, like, captivates your attention, but not only it's almost like a mind wash, right? Like, we get so addicted to the screen that sometimes seeing something in person in the real world, it kind of washes over you. It washes over your consciousness. And when you have something that's so, you know, profound as "Be the Change," now it's like, okay, there's multiple things being communicated and translated that is like, or realizing, you know what, it's beautiful, let's not lose it. This is a call to action. Let's do something about it, right? Snowstorm comes, all these things happen. Okay, we could change it if we choose to change it. And I think that's kind of the beautiful takeaway of that, is that, you know, you go, you make it happen, they go, they make it happen too. And I think that's kind of what it is. Like, do it, call to action, make the action happen.
I love that you used the word challenged. Like, you know, you feel challenged by when you see something like that. You know, because I mean, really, that had to be the only thing that kept them from tearing that building down. You know, it was like this literally says "Be the Change." And if I take this building down, what am I doing for this community? How am I'm either changing it for bad or for good, you know? And I think it's important to always feel challenged, and or else we're too comfortable, you know? Like, if we're not challenging ourselves in our art form, if we're not challenging the way we dialogue with people, if we're not trying to seek out a friend that doesn't believe the same thing we do, like, nothing's going to get better, you know? So I think we always need to feel challenged with our decisions. I need to feel challenged where when my art gets too easy, I need to paint something that I don't feel comfortable with, you know, when like everything, like that friction is the only thing that's going to create that good change and that growth and just that beauty.
Amen.
Shout out to the 15 years into the game that I'm about to walk away from. I'm just saying, like, it's empowering to hear, right? Like, you invested this time in, and for me, that's been a big contingency. Is like, I'm going through the same steps right now. Like, I just did the business account, just got the like peep the shirts that are on the Insta for those that are watching. You ain't got to buy them, but just know they're there, because for me, it's about manifesting what I want for myself, given that I poured in so much to the community that now I need to pour back into me. So hearing you say that reinforces the journey that I'm currently on, because the comparison, that line, right? Like, it's, people say comparison is the thief of joy. Not if you're doing it to understand the possibilities, right? People become envious and jealous when they wish it was them, instead of realizing they're just showing you one option of many options that are possible. I think that's a key thing, right? We can choose to be happy. We can choose to be the change. We got to realize right now, right? Like, this is your opportunity to change it. If you are willing to, if you're willing to own that and take acceptance and take responsibility and accountability that your life is something that you can manifest right now. If you're hearing these words and you have the ability to hear this, you already got a lot of the stuff out of the way in terms of challenges in life, period, right? You have access to communication, a device, internet, whatever the case may be. You can be the change, right? We're talking about it. We talk about it week after week. We done had people from all over different industries, different places in the world, and they're all communicating the same thing. And this one hits home because it is a part of home. It's like somebody from the city telling someone else from the city about the journey. And how can I not feel happy, proud, thankful, appreciative to know the possibilities, instead of whatever. He ain't even all that. He ain't even that dope. He was, yeah, I'm a little bro him for the rest of his life, instead of bigging up and supporting and magnifying, right? Because I think that's the thing, is we're talking about healing, but that healing, to some degree has to start inside. And you have to realize, when you see somebody get theirs or go after theirs, and the things start to happen in a positive way and it manifests itself in a great way, and feeling that challenge yourself to change your perspective and how you receive the message, how you take the message, right? It's like a text message. You could read it and be like, what you mean, what's up? Or you could take it and it be Mickey Mouse and be like, what's up? And then you'd be like, oh, it's Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse text me. My interpretation and the tone is way off, right? And it's the same thing. If you see somebody do their thing, when you see them do their thing, receive that with love, receive that with an appreciation, because I see it as a possibility. I see it as an opportunity, right? Maybe it's not a one-to-one translation, but whether it's pasta or rice, we're going to figure out a way to cook it. And I think that's just how I break down. You feel me? So, I had to let you know you're appreciated. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us. And, we definitely got to do this again and again. But, props to you. Shout out to you. And thank you.
Yeah, shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And yeah, it was just good chatting with you guys.
Oh, for sure. For sure,
man.
I mean,
always.
I think, you hit on the head, right? People be the change, right? Be the change. It's, if anything you take away from this, that's the thing.
Yeah. Amen.
And we got David Wilkins saying, what's up? What's
Hey,
good,
what's
Alex?
up, David?
Cameron, I missed you.
Hey,
He's coming through with the comments from Facebook. David Wilkins.
what's up, David? Happy birthday, Aaron.
Putting it out there in the world. See, it's a community, y'all. For those of you that don't know, this is a live recording that we then put onto Spotify and all the streaming platforms. So, if you catch us live every Wednesday, the time shifts, but it's always every Wednesday. You can comment live, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Lyrical Ones, we're here. It's a podcast, it's a show, it's a community. And we have Camer-1 here, Camer-1 SF, for those that want to stay connected and see the art and support the art. Are there ways that people can support you? Is there any point of purchase ways that they can kind of either get a print or something, or support and kind of just dropping a couple dollars on you? What's that?
Yeah, same thing. Camer1sf.com. I have prints up there and shirts, and everything's up there.
Yeah, support the community and support local organic talent. It's not playing with yourself. Come on, get down. But
Thank you, brother. We appreciate you. Always
thank you guys, man.
safe travels in your art journey and your parenting journey and your husbandry journey and your creative journey. Thank you. Yep,
Right
that's
on.
right. Like
Yeah, thank you
Christine
guys.
Erickson says, thank you, Cameron. We are the change.
Hey.
Lawrence
What's up,
Feston came
Lawrence?
through.
Dang.
It's lit. Love your work, Camer-1. Lawrence Feston, thank you for the comments. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
That's cool.
Thanks, Cameron. Have a good one, man. Take care. Be safe out there.
All right, y'all. God bless you. Peace out.
God bless.
Later.
So this is episode 34. As I mistakenly said in the beginning, I said it was 33 and I was wrong. It's episode 34 of the Lyrical Ones podcast, brought to you by the good folks at Lyrical Opposition. If you're listening right now, you are a Lyrical One. We've been doing our thing, right? 34 weeks in. We're now, keeping the train moving as much as we can. This was a very enlightening episode. I was very appreciative of the vibes. Affluent, how you feeling?
Oh man, I just feel blessed. Walking in gratitude. I feel like every week we just have a monumental day when we get to share, in perspective, share in community, get to hear from our guests. We get the comments to come in. It's just really been a blessing today to have Camer-1 on, just as a creative. And as someone who is, using his artwork and using his love of people to, impact and bring change. Yeah, so I'm in a great space right now.
That's what's up. I needed to hear all that. As always, every week I need to hear it. Every week I need to hear it. As much as I'm a part of it, I need it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is space. It's a healing space. It's a space for encouragement, for expression. As the weeks turn into months and the months turn into years, we're going to do our best to remain consistent with what we bring to the table and what we're trying to share to those that are listening. But also the fact of like just being able to like be happy and enjoy people, right? To support people, highlight, uplift, congratulate, honor, champion people, right? Because I think that we live in enough scrutiny. We live in enough people trying to nitpick. And I think that, week to week, it's about, whether it's how crazy things get in the world or the harm and trauma that we're trying to heal from, we're just trying to celebrate each other. And I think that's a big, big key. And I'm grateful, thankful too, right? Like I say it often, right? I give thanks more than I pray, but in that's my praying. You know what I'm saying? It's being able to have that gratitude, to be appreciative of what I do have, not get lost on what I don't, and being able to like focus on what it is that I want for myself, right? It's beyond, for me, the material possessions, right? It's beyond the, he hit it on the head, right? Being able to have a home, have a family, and be able to spend time with them and enjoy the company. I think, for those that want it, we for y'all, because that's what we vow. We's a people. It's a people thing. You're saying it's a healing community, right? It's a feeling company. And so, if you're listening right now as a Lyrical One, stay connected. We have the Discord, right? You can catch us on Twitter. You can catch us on YouTube. You catch us on Facebook. You catch us on Instagram. 415-903-7699. Again, that is 415-903-7699 to get connected to our Discord. We're also on Clubhouse now. We'll start doing this, hopefully, every week before the show. We'll do a pre-show. So if you want to join us and, inform our conversation that we're going to have on the show, you can meet us on Clubhouse. We were on there previewing music. There's some special things coming. Lost and found. Y'all going to figure out what that means as time goes on, but it ain't about me, right? I'm here to uplift others and honor those. But as I do talk about me now, those that know, there's a song called 2020 Vision. It's out on all streaming platforms. So if y'all want to go and listen to that, that's your boy Sineo, right? We 3 different things down now. So that's the Let's Get a Gospel. That's the T Venom and Sin Symbiosis. And now I got a single, what's called 2020 Vision, right? I know 2020 is in the past, but as they say, 2020 is in hindsight, right? And so I'm just saying, get a listen of that energy and what it's manifested, because it does extend into the future. I'm not trying to, be a downer. I'm trying to uplift and push. So, and there'll be some more music to come in the coming weeks. But I
Let's
think that
go.
hey, every Sunday I'm trying to change it into Sin Day, Sunday, Sunday, Sin Day. So, you know what I'm saying? A Sin Sunday, if you will. Shout out to Mitchell's when I used to go get the Sin Sunday, chocolate chip cookie, vanilla ice cream. If you can find a way to get a brownie, throw a brownie up in that thing. Put some more ice cream on top of that. Put another chocolate chip cookie on top of that. Then you get the chocolate syrup with
Chocolate
the
dip, chocolate dip.
chocolate dip, chocolate chip, and then chocolate sprinkles with the whipped cream on top. Sin Sunday. So yeah, had to go with that little tangent one time. But yeah.
That just make me want to lift something.
I mean, hey, shout out to the calorie tracker I just downloaded to start looking at my macros and my nutrients and what I'm taking in. I am now getting in the world of managing what it is my body's taking in. I didn't realize it. I'm taking in a lot of fats, and now I realize I need a lot more carbs. So for those that are like, oh man, I don't want to, hey, I'm just saying health is literally wealth. Like, I kid you not. If your knees feel creaky, they feeling weak, you got the guy on the screen. Oh wait, let me change. Affluent is right here to help you and support you through your transitions in life. I mean, shout out to the books that he was showing me last week, because it really was making me realize time is of the essence, and if I don't get a hold of it, it's gonna get a hold of me, and I feel like it's gonna try and cripple me. So I was really energized and inspired from our conversation to
I'm
really
glad.
take ownership of my food intake and really understand like calories, right? Because it's a numbers game, right? 365 days in a year, there's 12 months, 12 hours in a day, 24 if you're looking at it a different way. But also, what are you putting into your body in that time period, and how does that manifest itself, right? Because I could think I'm eating scrambled eggs, and I'm gonna have me some toast with some sunflower butter, and then I look at my nutrients and I'm like, I'm just eating a bunch of fat. What is going on? So now I'm like, okay, maybe I got to squeeze in some fish in there. You know what I'm saying? So for those that know, we are a healing community. We're a people company, and so get connected. Understand this is just to encourage and support. We're not trying to shame and shade
We just want to
nobody.
lift. We just want to lift you up.
Lift you up, and we can only do that if we eat right, maintain our form and our posture, and be able to get that through every level of stress. So what I'm saying, work out if you can.
We won't put no shade on you, lifting you up. We'll be underneath, lifting you higher toward the light.
Exactly. We'll take the shade from you. You know what I'm saying? Anything that's said on it, we taking that shade. Okay. I said it. How about that? You know what I'm saying?
There it is.
But I think with that, you got any final words for our people that are watching tonight?
Like Camer-1 said via Gandhi, or Gandhi said via Camer-1, be the change you want to see in the world, and create the change you want to see in your life. Create the atmosphere you want to exist in. Create the environment you want to exist in. Just like the shout out to the subreddit group. They know who they are. If you don't know, look up, what's happening in the world. I mean, it's just news, but it could be entertaining, it could be encouraging and liberating, man. It's like, it's all in how you process it. Like change is coming, and you could be what's coming.
I'm just saying,
man. I think it's a great thing to see people mobilize and organize. And if we start to create a plan and a goal for your portfolio and how you want to make progress, and create stability as well as a foundation for positive things in your life, I think it's really important to take some know-hows that's not necessarily taught to us in school, that's not taught to us in curriculum, and say, like, what can I learn? Like, what other tools can I pick up? And at the same time, I think it's really important. I think something that's been on my heart lately is that we start to look at what it means to be a viable, reliable, consistent member in community. And part of that is doing the mental, emotional healing for self. Shout out to Alice Wonders 7 with the changes coming, 3 exclamation marks.
Marks.
We love to see it. We love to see it. It's really, doing that work and seeing how we're can be being great relationships and interactions with each other, even in families and between parents and siblings and cousins and grandparents, where we can look at the work that needs to be done, from a mental health, from an emotional health standpoint. And I think that's what allows us to be reliable for people, and what allows us to be good to each other is being good to ourselves. And what does it look like to be good to yourself, and not from a selfish standpoint, but from a healing standpoint. Like, what are my needs? How do I communicate those needs? Do I even know what those needs are? Have I ever asked myself, what do I need? And how good am I at communicating those things? And then where do I get the assistance or the help, or how do I do the work? Where's the information that I need to address those needs? Right? It's like, if I'm hungry, I know these things are available because they advertise them to me. Well, if I need an oil change, I know how to do that because it's advertised to me. Well, what about the things that are not advertised to you, that you're not consuming something, but that you need help? Like, what does it look like to not necessarily purchase, but to grow? And what does that look like to create, a better existence within your own life, own mind and heart? I think that's important. It's like, I think we put a value personally on how well we're doing financially. And I think when we look at how well we're doing mentally, emotionally, spiritually, those things are more important in being valuable and integral to each other. It's how well we're showing up within community of 2, community of 5, community of 10. It's like, what does it look like when I interact with people and I'm under stress? Right? Do I lash out? Do I shut down? Am I passive aggressive? Right? It's like, those have nothing to do with finances. And even if you get finances right, those things will still be there. And so a lot of times people want to fix their finances and not fix their problems. And fixing your problems sometimes allow you to, have better support in going after and fixing your finances.
Yeah, and on the other end of that spectrum, I just want to say, if you notice your people are hurting, like, out, let them know, call them out if they need to be called out, contact them, meet where they at. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to just paint that picture one time, because it goes both ways, right? On one end of the spectrum, it's about taking ownership for what you can do and knowing that, like, don't put your harm and your pain on others, right? Don't take it out on somebody else who didn't deserve it. Don't put harm in people's lives that ain't, it's not, harm is not necessary, right? If you're not bringing harmony, then you being harmful. And I think that you have to really come to terms, right, when it comes to self. But as a community member, whatever community you in, right, going back to what he said, 2, 5, 7, 25, whether it's at an office space or the doctor's office, whether you working on a bus route or you working, cleaning and sweeping the streets, if you got a colleague and you see something's off, you should check in, right? Because it never ends. The world don't stop. And what they going through, right, they might just need that person to break them, intervene, to intersect, to collide one time in a positive way to help them break out of that harmful state. And sometimes we just get so wrapped up in ourselves, we know it, we see it, but we don't take the time, right? We don't get involved, right? Oh, well, I don't, right? Know your capacity by all means, but if you got it in you, Try it. Just try it. See what happens.
Real talk. Like I already know, like January not even over, and I know 5 people who passed away already. Right, we got funerals coming in February, and COVID accidents, homicides, right? All this stuff, like just like any other year, just like 2020, just like 2019, just like 2018, but I have support and I have mechanisms to help me process what I'm going through and feeling. And then I also have boundaries set up on how to engage and help others who lost people, and knowing who I can go to for support, and also how to manage what I need. But that took time, and like living in San Francisco, you may get a lot of practice. Coming from Bayview Hunters Point, you may get a lot of practice. And it's just one of those things like where you just gotta keep at it and be around people like Camer-1 said, like who want to learn, some of the same lessons that you want to learn, and who have that mentality that's similar to yours as far as your in, I guess, the spectrum of intensity of hustle. Because if you just don't want to hustle, you might want to be around other people who don't want to hustle. And because they may cause you anxiety if they hustling next to you, it may make you anxious. Like, why are you so busy? I'm just trying to chill. At the same time, if you a hustler and you trying to go, it's like, where y'all at? What y'all doing? Why y'all ain't up? I'm awake. And so it's like you gotta navigate and know, say, I got people around me who trying to learn the same lessons I'm on, and that's gonna build bonds, but it's also gonna call each other higher. And it's gonna, create, a sense of understanding and empathy as you travel, together with your tribe.
For sure. Why are you so busy? Because I'm busy. I need it. This is my process for healing. Why are you busy? Why you don't want to kick it? I can't kick it. My legs is moving. I can't. I'm on the move.
I'm not even busy. My day is full. It's just a full day. Everything, all the time is allocated for something.
It's been accounted for. It's all accounted for.
It's allocated. Oh, you ain't doing nothing but watching, resting, watching anime, reading. Yeah. I'm not busy. It's scheduled.
Oh, no, I'm busy. One Piece, I'm busy. All right, I'm watching them. They on the journey. Okay, if I'm watching Attack on Titan, guess what? I'm busy. Okay,
it's on appointment. 2 p.m. on 2 p.m. on Sunday. 2 p.m. on Sunday. I'm in the Marleyan Kingdom.
I left you a comment on Instagram. I ain't say call me. That ain't what I said. Like, okay, I comment on your picture. I didn't say hit me up. I'm going through my process right now.
Why you do that?
It's real. That's the truth. I ain't got time to cut corners. I spread love. I give positivity. Right. I'm doing it in this platform. If I was doing it in a different way, then that's the way I would do it. Okay. Oh, but I seen that you what you saw ain't what you seen. You saw what you wanted to see. I see what I want to see. Right. The two ain't the same. It's different perspectives, right?
2 sets of eyes, 2 points of views.
Yeah, exactly. All right. It's all right. It's all good. But just know with me, look, I retweeted you. That don't mean I'm up for you. I'm up for me. I like what you said at that time 7 hours ago. Don't think, oh, right now I should hit him up. It's 1:30. Look, I'm a night owl and I like quietness. And on Twitter, I don't have automatic playing videos, okay? I don't got none of that. What I got is I pick and choose what I get access to, okay? Everybody understand your capacities. Know your limits, right? I'm here for you if you need me when I'm there for you, right? Just saying.
Right.
Understand the difference.
Right. Okay. Man, it's like, can you help? Yes, when I'm helping.
Thank you.
On my helping hours.
helping hours. Okay, y'all know when it is. All right, everybody got their own time slot. But again, I digress.
Personally, everybody make your own helping hours. Make your own office hours for you to engage with people, and then set up times for yourself and for your loved ones.
Boundaries. Be the change.
Boundaries. Be the change. Lyrical ones. Let's do it.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's about
episode 34.
It's about that time. Episode 34. As I was sitting here trying to find a song to now find another song. That's the thing about technology. I love old technology. For those that don't know, when y'all hear me play this, I'll be playing this. I'm gonna show y'all right now what I play this off of. Cause you be thinking, oh, this is all like, look.
He got the cassette deck, y'all. He got the tape deck, y'all.
I wish I did. If I did, we'd be sitting here for a longer period of time. I tell you that much. Like, you see this?
About to come with. There you go.
Okay, y'all don't even know. Half of y'all don't even know what that is anymore. Y'all done already forgot.
Hey, they so solid though.
Tell me about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they still sell the touch one. I'm like, I'm gonna have to get that just for posterity and historical reasons.
What they just dropped they just remixed it.
They did? What they do?
The touch, they just brought it back for the new generation.
That's what I'm saying. I might have to cop that because I don't know how long that's gonna be around. You know what I'm saying? Everybody be on their phone all the time. Not me. I need, when I want to listen to music and I don't want it nothing
else.
Somewhere else. Let me hop on this one time. Okay.
Nothing else.
Boundaries. I got boundaries, technological boundaries. Okay. Shoot, find you one. Okay. Goodwill, holla at your boy. So
find you one.
We like
so much context.
It's a lot going on.
Mine too, Christine. It's my bedtime too.
About to pass out right now.
Thanks for coming through. We love y'all. One.